Yep. I've lost another 60 on WoW Hardcore. 60 Mage. Jeffx is dead. My second sort of backup raider that I had started to raid on this character at HC Elite. I had started to get some gear, but it was mainly my gold farming mage that I was using to, if you've seen the other videos, farm Zul'Farrak for a lot of gold. It was the way I was making raid gold consumables. And yes, I have to admit that, all this bragging that I did about how good I was at the Zul'Farrak graveyard mage farm, how much I had done, how much gold I was making, probably came back to bite me in the ass. I died in Zul'Farrak farming the graveyard at 60. Which you shouldn't normally do. Now, I leveled this character largely from 45 and beyond in Zul'Farrak graveyard, and then I just continued to farm it constantly. I had over 7,000 zombie kills on this character, and I can honestly say I never ever missed the jump in all of those many hundreds of runs. But what ended up getting me was some sort of a weird lag issue, and I'll explain it. I had started adding the 2 bosses to my farm. I would kill the second boss that's right in the graveyard there, and then I would kill the first boss, who's called Antu-Sul. And Antu-Sul, you pull him out of the graveyard and bring him back, or excuse me, you pull him out of his cave and you bring him back over to the graveyard, and then you juggle him back and forth in the same spot. And he has some really weird properties. He is the only mob in the entire game that I'm aware of that can aggro onto you, will be following you, but lets you out of combat. So he will chase you. You'll be out of combat. You could dismount and remount. You could drink, but he's still on you and will chase you, which is a very odd mechanic or thing that he has. And also, he's sort of a phased encounter where at different levels of his health, he will stop and spawn ads. He's one of those bosses. He also spawns totems on you and does weird things. And sometimes those will conflict. And when I started adding him to my kill and would try to farm him for gold, which incidentally was a shard that you could sell for 4 gold each time, a guaranteed shard. And so that's why I had started adding him. I noticed that he was a little harder to kill because he would pause and spawn the ads. And you had to juggle those too, or you could kill them. And sometimes he would spawn and weird things would happen. He would stop and want to start spawning a totem, but instead spawn the ads, or he would get behind on when he should have spawned the ads based on his health and not spawn them because he did a totem. And what happened to me, to make a long story short, is I was at a juggle spot. He was running toward me on one of the main tops of the area where you juggle. And it was as if he stopped to do his spawn ads, but instead started spawning a totem. And it looked a little bit weird. And then I did my next cast of a frostbolt on him, and it started the dreaded cast animation with your hands, but no cast bar. And so instantly I did what I always do when I want to check lag. I cast an arcane explosion, and same thing, just casting with my hands, but no arcane explosion, which is the kiss of death. So I jumped over to the other juggle spot to be farther away from him, and I just started spamming Petri, and a few seconds later I just disconnected, and it took me almost 1 full minute to be able to get back into the game, just trying to reload as fast as I could, as if my character was lost, or the instance server that I had for that, I had corrupted it, or something weird happened with Antu-Sul. So I'm not going to, it was a disconnect. I just disconnected. And when I came back in, I had my gray screen and I was dead. I still got to own it. When you die in hardcore, you die in hardcore, and you got to own it no matter what. There's a luck factor involved. You can't come back and say, oh, it was a disconnect and I should restore my character or whatever. I hate that. And in fact, I don't even like the fact that I've deleted this character and now I'm showing it, but we have this ability to restore it. When I died, I deleted the character right away and I made a new character with that name, and that's what you do in hardcore. I hate this fact that we can transfer our dead hardcore characters to another server and continue to play it. That's the least hardcore thing ever. Our original mantra of this mode was death equals delete. It wasn't go again. It was death equals delete and go again. So when you die, you delete your character and you create a new character of the same name. You start leveling it again, and that's what I've done. So at any rate, I'm going to try and get this next Jeffx version 2 back up to Zul'Farrak level. I'll try to level there again. I will start farming gold there again, but I will not be killing Antu-Sul anymore. I think that potentially corrupted my server or caused a disconnect because of some weird mechanic conflicting that happened there. So at any rate, we go again.